Right now on Up with KREM, today 3 officers charged for the death of Manuel Ellis will make their first court appearance.
And we're going to take you outside with your holiday weekend forecast. Everything from clouds and wind and cool temperatures to an all-out heat wave.
And confusion in Idaho. This morning we'll tell you what you need to know about the lieutenant governor taking mask mandates into her own hands while Governor Brad Little was out of town.
Up with KREM begins now.
While the drought isn't over, we've received some much needed rain in our area. Here's a map tweeted out by the National Weather Service Spokane of precipitation totals over the last 12 hours.
Well, you can see areas like Moses Lake and Lewiston missed a lot of that moisture. These measurements are still relatively low, and there really isn't much rain in the forecast for Memorial Day weekend, right, Jeremy? And we're going to see a little bit stormy weather today and tomorrow, but then really warm, dry conditions going into the week.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where we're kind of missing out on the bulk of the moisture, and it's one of those ones that's just going to continue in that trend. Now, we did pick up a bit yesterday, but even as all that rain was falling at my house, I was looking outside going, why is the ground not wet?
I had quite a bit of rain at my house too, but then there were spots that had nothing.
Yeah.
So it was kind of fun. But yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a beautiful Memorial Day weekend for people later, at least in the weekend.
Yeah, later. It's one of those ones where it starts out kind of, and then it gets to,
sound effects, more sound effects.
Man. I didn't get much sleep last night. My alarm went off early because it still went off for yesterday. It's a terrible excuse, but basically my brain doesn't work this morning. I'm not saying it works on a normal morning, but it's just not working this morning. What we're seeing right now is a little bit of cloud cover. You can see some of the breaks in the clouds, and it's going to kind of be that. We'll catch a little bit of clear skies. It's a very similar weather pattern to what we've seen many, many, many times. Clear skies, then all of a sudden things start changing as we get into the afternoon thanks to cold air moving in up in the atmosphere overhead. Down at the surface, our wind dies down rather quick, and by this evening, it's basically non-existent. And that kind of starts the trend in what we wind up seeing over the course of the next few days. We're in the 40s now, a little bit of rain coming down off to the north. That's in places like Sandpoint, starting to kind of hang out on the state line in areas farther off to the north. So if you are up there, just know those showers will eventually start dying down here in the next couple of hours. Then later this afternoon, we catch a couple of stray showers here across the inland northwest. Overnight, the skies clear, the wind calms, and we wind up seeing a chilly start to the day on Saturday. So, as Dana Marie and Tim mentioned, it is a bit cooler today. Our temps are in the 60s. That cold front yesterday did what cold fronts do, and it cooled us down. So we're mostly cloudy and temps in the mid-60s. You'll catch a little more sun early this morning, but then those clouds build back later on this afternoon. Tomorrow morning, it starts out cool. Some of us can call it cold. Many areas will be down in the 30s, but by tomorrow afternoon, we're in the mid-70s. By Sunday, low 80s, and by Monday, we are in the upper 80s across the inland northwest, and even warmer as we get into the middle of next week.
Jeremy, thank you. 3 Tacoma officers are waking up in jail this morning after being charged in the death of Manuel Ellis. And in just a few hours, they will face a judge for the first time. We do want to warn you this next piece of video on your screen might be disturbing to see. So this comes after Thursday's decision by the state attorney general, who took over the case and for the first time criminally charged officers for unlawful use of deadly force. Ellis died in Tacoma in March of last year. Cell phone video shows the officers holding Ellis to the ground. Now, he can be heard saying, "I can't breathe." The Pierce County Sheriff's Department was initially put in charge of the investigation. It headed it for months before disclosing a conflict of interest. One of its own deputies was involved. When detectives questioned the officers, they said Ellis was the aggressor and he picked up the officer and threw him to the ground. Witnesses gave a different description, though, saying Ellis tried to get away and officers threw him down, beat, tased, and restrained him.
The narrative was that those officers were in a struggle for their life. It wasn't until videos started to come forward that showed a different story.
The Tacoma Police Union disagrees, saying in a statement it believes facts were ignored, adding, "We look forward to trial. An unbiased jury will find that the officers broke no laws and, in fact, acted in accordance with the law, their training, and Tacoma Police Department policies." Ellis's mother, sister, brother, and family attorney acknowledge the officers being charged is the right direction, but they say more can be done to prevent deaths like this. They say they want to see more reform in the criminal justice system.
It's hard for me to be happy. It's hard for me to want to celebrate because of so many things that are still currently being overlooked.
The family said Ellis loved to play the drums, and he was known for playing the drums in his local church. So as we mentioned, the 3 officers will appear in court later today. Dana Marie McNichol joins us now to tell us more about their charges. Good morning, Dana Marie.
Good morning, Tim. That's right. So right behind me, you see the photos of those 3 officers facing charges. We have Christopher Burbank right here, Matthew Collins, and then Timothy Rankine. Now tonight, they have all been booked into the Pierce County Jail. Burbank and Collins were charged with second-degree murder. Rankine was charged with first-degree manslaughter. Now, the officers were not wearing body cameras. Most law enforcement agencies in the state, 75% of them actually don't have them. Former Seattle Police Chief and King 5 law enforcement analyst Carmen Best says that actually should change.
I think every agency should have body cameras. I think it's an important tool. It helps with accountability.
Best believes it could take federal support, but right now the George Floyd Policing Act is stalled in the Senate. Republicans do not agree with the measure that would remove qualified immunity, making it easier to sue police. Now, Tacoma Police Chief at the time of Ellis's death has now retired. Interim Chief Mike Akey said that the department now starts its own internal review, saying in a statement, "We recognize this decision will not lessen the pain our community is feeling. Conversations and actions regarding police reform are important as ever. We do realize we must reduce outcomes that cause pain and diminish trust within our community." 6:37, now it's time for your morning rush. More news in less time.
A Spokane woman is being cited in an 8-car pileup on I-90 for allegedly driving with a suspended license. 3 people were injured in the crash and 2 were taken to the hospital Tuesday evening. The woman was allegedly driving with 4 young children in the car when she hit the center median. Camilla Zachary was cited for driving while suspended, wheels over the center line, and a seatbelt violation.
Well, tearing it down just to build it back up. That's what WashDOT crews will be working on starting next month. The East Trent Bridge will restart construction on June 1st. Take a look at your screen. Here's a video. 110 years ago, the bridge was one of the first concrete bridges to cross the Spokane River. WashDOT says the bridge is getting too old and just costing a little bit more than it's worth. The process of demolishing that current bridge and building a new one will take a total of 4 years because crews can only work during certain months.
Idaho's lieutenant governor issued an executive order banning individual mask mandates in the state. Janice McGeehan is serving as acting governor while Governor Brad Little attends an out-of-state conference. His office says he was not made aware of the lieutenant governor's decision and that his office is reviewing the lieutenant governor's executive order. Idaho does not have a statewide mask mandate. However, some counties, cities, and even public schools have mask protocols in place.
The Environmental Protection Agency is restoring state and tribal power to protect waterways. An EPA administrator says he will not hesitate to correct decisions that weaken the authority of states and tribes to protect their waters. The rule grants states and Native American tribes the authority to block pipelines and also other energy projects that pollute their waterways. And that's your morning rush. More news in less time. Let us know what's happening in your neighborhood by using the hashtag #UpWithKREM on social media.
Still ahead on Up with KREM, Washington motorcyclists will start their ride across the country for fallen officers. After the break, what riders hope to accomplish with this trip.
And we're going to take you outside, talk your Memorial Day weekend forecast, and let you know what to expect as we get a big shift in our weather pattern.